They will prove that it's possible. And I know things can be hard, but you have to understand you can overcome them because someone else will do it. What's the number 2 reason people don't succeed? Because they come up with more excuses. So when the first ones run out, they start to think of more. What's the number 3 reason people don't succeed? Because they have constant excuses. I mean, this is it. It's all in our mind. Have you ever met people like this? I mean, they're always telling you why it won't work. What is wrong with everything going on? You know what I call those? I call those people I do not hang around with. Because I don't want my mind being infected by their negativity or what they're doing. Because if I let that seep in, it will stop me from doing the things I need to do to build the business the correct way. There's great books you can read. A lot of these you can buy right off of your own site and be able to pick them up. But I think, again, keep reading different things. Keep learning. I love anything by Robert Kiyosaki. He's done a tremendous job with entrepreneurs. Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Slight Edge is another great one. Building an Empire is an outstanding audio or a book to read or listen to. You know, everything seems great these 2 days. Surrounded by business partners. We're excited. We're having fun. We're moving like crazy. Then we go home. And when we go home, we don't have all that excitement. We don't have all those people around us. And we're not sure what's going on with that. So what I think about with that is the people leave who have doubts. Sometimes it becomes harder than we thought. Sometimes it becomes more work than we thought it was going to be. Sometimes we go home, we're all excited, and someone on our team quits. The one who quits will be the one who's not here, by the way. Sometimes we start to question whether it'll work for me. I'm different. I don't know if it'll work for me. My people don't listen. Has anybody ever thought that? That I'm trying to coach them, but they don't do what I tell them to do. My people don't do anything. Anybody ever felt like that? I'm doing it all. My team's not doing anything. It's not going fast enough. And I'm going to tell you a secret to our business. It will never go fast enough, ever. It will never go fast enough. Because no matter how fast you go, it will feel too slow. And then all of a sudden you'll be at a point where you realize you already got there and you didn't even realize it while you were doing it. And the key is it'll keep coming once you do it. Sometimes we hit a crossroads. Some of you may have been at a crossroads when you came this weekend. Okay, so with that being said, you came here and you said, well, you know, I was excited, but it's not working yet. I want to make sure it really works for me. I'm trying to figure this thing out, but I'm struggling. I'll come to the event to figure out if it's the right thing for me to do going forward. Some people will decide to take a break. They'll say, I'm going to slow down a little bit, take a little time off. They start hanging around negative people. Why do they hang around negative people? They hang around negative people because that justifies the fact that they're not doing anything. They like having somebody else who says, hey, you shouldn't go to that meeting. Man, that's a lot of work going to, let's go to a movie. Let's go drink. Let's go do something different than go and work at night. They stop attending trainings and meetings. Sometimes I see this with people who have actually started to build real well, but then they think they know too much. I gotta tell you, if I still go to meetings every single week to learn about my business, I would say most people could too. How many local seminars do you think in 21 years I've ever missed in my local area if I was in town? We have 6 a year. So what would that be? 6 times 21. Michael, you're my math major here. That would be 122 or something like that. How many do you think I missed?
None.
0. Why not? Well, why don't I just miss, hey, you know how to do it. You train a lot of them. Why aren't you missing the meetings? I need to be there to pick up that one thing that's going to help me grow my business better, and I need to be there so my team sees me there, so they know that's what they should be doing at the same time. And it's that. How many annual conventions do you think I've ever missed? 0. How many leadership schools? 0. And I bet you if I asked every $1 Million Club member on these rows, they would tell me the exact same thing. So if that's part of the price of success, I'll pay it gladly. People say, well, that means 6 Saturdays a year you have to attend something, and that means you have to go to a 2-day event twice a year. You know, that's time. Yeah, but you know what it did? It gave me the rest of my life back. Would you give up 10 to 15 days to have 345 days back in your life? I would, without a doubt. So people who don't start making excuses, and they settle for a life they don't want. You know what happens? 10 years from now, they will be complaining about the same things in life. And they'll be telling everyone, man, I couldn't catch a break. I've worked hard my whole life. I could never get a break. But they were in the business with you, and they quit. You need to get the mindset of maybe taking it the other road. The other road is you renew your commitment. You decide to do more. You're going to try twice as hard. You're going to stop making any excuses that have been coming up. You're going to read better books. You're going to listen to better audios. You're going to commit to becoming more of what you should be with this business. You're going to do simple result producing activities every single day. You're going to hang around positive people. I'll tell you, when you're around this business long enough, being around negative people is hard. Because it's like, what is wrong with them? Why are they complaining about so many, when there's so many great things going on right now? You attend every training and meeting. You decide, I'm never going to give up. You take constructive criticism. Remember how Michael was talking about we measure, monitor, and adjust from a technology standpoint? We do the same thing from a mental standpoint, don't we? We measure, monitor, and we adjust. And you talk with your partners, what can I do better? How could I do this better? And you take that criticism, because sometimes the hardest thing to do is to take the criticism that you need to hear, and you need to be able to do that. You measure, monitor, and change course. And to me, one of our most important things in society is we take personal responsibility. I fear for some of our youth because we have become a society where everybody blames everybody else for everything they do. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times you need to take a good look in the mirror and say, if it's up to me to be, it's going to be up to me. If something goes wrong, that's my fault. I'm not going to blame somebody else. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to own it. But I'm also going to go out and I'm going to get after it. Because once you take the responsibility and you get rid of the blame and put it on yourself, you really realize what you can or cannot do. You'll work harder, you'll care deeper, you'll help more people, and you will strive instead of settle. So you'll strive to do more instead of settle. You know what the funny thing is? 10 years from now, you'll live the life you dreamed of. And people will say, man, Vicki got lucky. She's so lucky she started back then. You know, Alice and Victor, they're so lucky. Nina's lucky. Those people are all lucky. They're lucky they didn't listen to all their negative friends, is what they're lucky about. They are lucky that they were strong mentally. They're lucky that they focused on getting this done so they could live the rest of their life. So if everyone's going to say that anyway, and they will, I'm going to tell you this, because again, that justifies why they didn't succeed or why they're not where they want to be. Then why don't we all just decide to get lucky? Would you guys agree with that? Let's just get lucky and go after it and build this business like we should. Your long-term income will be determined by the example you set. This is where leadership comes in. And leadership, when we talk about leadership, you can make money recruiting. You can make money retailing and building that organization. but the long-term money will stay and grow because of the example you set and the way you work with your people. So that's why when I talk about these things and doing them, it becomes so important. Now, leadership does not mean it's always pleasant. Sometimes being a leader means you have to talk about things you wish you didn't have to talk about. And I'm going to talk to you about some things today, and I want to make sure we all understand them and we grow the right way and we do things the right way so we don't run into problems in the future. But we've run into some gaming issues and manipulation of our management performance compensation plan as a company that we really became aware of. Mark touched on it earlier, and he talked about the auctions in the last 8 to 10 months. We really became aware of it. And there's some things that have gone on with that I want you to be aware of. One is we cannot sell into retail establishments. We can only work with service establishments. Make sure everybody knows that. Again, that protects our unfranchised owners. The second, and I don't think I need to touch on this because Mark really hit it, is that the sales to auction sites, we can't do that. It's prohibited. That will be an automatic elimination and termination. No selling into auction sites of any kind. We can't sell into countries or go into countries where we don't have unfranchised owners, where we're not a market country. We can sell through global, right? We can sell through global to anywhere, but we cannot try to establish businesses in there, do things outside of the countries we have a market country listed. And this one's a really big one. And it's one I want to make sure you guys are all aware of. You can't go into the back offices of other people in your organization and do the work for them. You can't go in and do their Form 1000s and say they retailed. You can't go in and help them with their ordering. You need to teach your people how to do that. Don't do it for them, teach them. And you know how you teach them? By helping them retail, by then sitting down with them once they've retailed some products and showing them how to go into their own back office and showing them how to file a Form 1000. It's very, very simple to do. And I'll tell you, the funny thing is, the people who are trying to do it by going into back offices for other people, it's a short-term game. It doesn't last because then they have to do everything. I've always believed you want a business that you could take years off from. Would you guys agree? Meet your minimum requirements, take time off and still get paid. The only way you can do that is if you duplicate and teach your team how to do the right things. Now there's also something else. There's management responsibilities. Our compensation plan is called what? The Management Performance Compensation Plan, MPCP. What does management mean? Management means, in my personal case, if I had someone in my organization, if all of a sudden I had somebody who went from zero to earning $5,000 a month US, or all of a sudden huge volume was coming through there, I would be making sure and getting to know them, contacting them, and making sure they're doing it correctly. Part of the problem we ran into was that people weren't doing it correctly, but nobody from above was telling them they were doing it wrong. And that is a major, because we wanted the BV. People wanted that BV to come up. But it's bad BV. It's not long term. You have to teach people how to do it right. And that's called a management performance part of our business. These policies, rules, and regulations, by the way, have been in place for 26 years. It's not something that's new. During the course of time, we have seen things that have come up in the past where the field and corporate partnered together to take care of things, and we have done it over and over and over again. But what that's done is it's maintained a level playing field for all UFOs. Because here's what I want. I want it to be fair for the new person, just like it was fair for me when I started. Don't you guys want that for your future UFOs you're going to be bringing in? We want to protect that competitive retail environment. We want to protect our brand. I want people, when they talk about Market Malaysia or Market Singapore or Shop.com, to talk about a company that's ethical, has integrity, does things the right way, will be here for the long term. And I want to protect our unfranchised business. What happens if we don't take care of it? Prices are driven lower, so people can't make a retail profit. That's a real problem, because we're a retail-based business and we need to make that. There's difficulty in selling products. There's difficulty in keeping a customer base. But I'll tell you, one of the probably worst things that happen is people get frustrated because they'll see somebody who's doing it wrong, short-term, grow fast. And they'll say, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't I getting there as quick as these other people? Now, they don't realize the other people did it wrong and they're probably not going to be around, but it frustrates them and frustrates an organization. And they wonder, is it me doing it wrong or is it my team doing it wrong? And it's not. It's doing it the right way will give you the long-term income. And I think that's why every one of you are here, is because you want a long-term residual income. Because like I said in the morning, any of us can do anything to make extra money, but very few of us can do something that will be paying us 20 years from now. And that's why we're doing this. So I wanted to cover that with you because I think it's important we all understand it so we can teach our people from the beginning the right way to do things, because we're pretty new in this market overall. And by the way, if you're hearing anything different than what I'm teaching you right now, you're hearing it wrong. I'm just going to lay it out. You're hearing it wrong if you're hearing anything different than doing it the right way with this business. So see, leadership isn't just rah, rah, I'm so proud of you. Leadership is letting people know how to do things the right way too, isn't it? But it's not being a boss. I don't think there's anybody who wants... How many of you have a boss right now? Anybody have a boss right now? Do you want two of them? No. You don't even want one of them, right? What we have to be a servant leader. We have to prove that you want to help people and do the activities to be able to back that up. So what do I mean by that? There's a lot of people saying, oh, I want my team to grow. I want my team to be successful. But then we need to get out and we need to work with them. We need to make that sacrifice to be with them. We need to do what it takes. And there's so many of you. I'm so proud as I sat here and watched all the people from other countries who are here supporting their teammates from either Malaysia or from Singapore, who came to make sure we were all together and that support was there. You're doing the right things, but that's what leaders do. They show up and they come and they work with those teams to do that. Remember, you don't manage people. I'll say this again, you don't manage people, you lead people and you manage things. Leadership is funny because a lot of times people say things like, well, I wish I had people who would buy more tickets. And my first question will be, how many tickets did you buy? Well, I didn't get mine yet. I'm going to get mine later on. And you wonder why your team's not doing it the right way. Then I'll talk to another leader who said, man, I went up and I got 6 tickets right away. It hurt. It hurt, but I got them. And I'll see their team doing the same thing, because they've duplicated either good or they've duplicated bad. How do you become a great leader or income earner? You do the things you want your group to do. It's real simple. If you want your group to recruit, what should you do? Recruit. If you want your group to retail more, what should you do? Retail more. If you want your group to buy more tickets, what should you do? If you want your group to show more plans, what should you do? Do you guys understand how easy this business is? Really, we're just breaking it down to the bare minimums, and you can stop any one of these $1 million earners and ask them the same question. They'll tell you the exact same thing. The simpler we keep things, the faster we can grow, because we can take all the technology, put it with what we're doing, and we can make this thing really, really take off. By the way, leaders don't create followers. Leaders create leaders. They give them room to grow. They allow them to make some mistakes, but they're there to catch them. They're there to help them when that happens. I see some leaders who stifle people because they want to be the show. They want to be the best person. They want to be the top money earner of doing it. You know what I want? I want my people to pass me. I want to have 4 different organizations where there's somebody making more money than me, so I can just hang out and have fun and cheer them on and do everything I can with that. That's leaders create leaders. So I always want you thinking about that. Are you creating a leader or are you creating a follower? By the way, you know who the best leaders are? They were the best followers. They follow and they do things for a period of time, and suddenly they're in a position of leadership and they're ready to go because they've been following and doing it. Leaders work with people at the level they're at. What do I mean by that? Every one of us has people at different levels. Some people want to move really fast. You know, if I'm working with Leanne and she says, I want to move really fast, I'm going to work with her differently than if I'm working with James and James is my new person. He says, you know, I only have a little bit of time. I want to retail. I want to use the product. I want to do a couple things. I'm going to work with them completely different. But I am not going to make my person who can't do as much feel bad. I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to coach them. I'm going to try to get them to the events. But I'm not going to, sometimes we drive our own good people out of the business because we push them too hard. Instead, I'm going to find the one who wants to do it, and I'm going to work like crazy with them. So we work with where they're at. We have good listening skills. We've become a society of really bad listeners. You know why? Because half the time we're listening, what are we doing? Huh? We're on our phone, we're doing stuff, right? I know the women will agree with me about their husbands this way for sure, right? So we have to have good listening skills. That means shutting our mind off from talking for a period of time so that we can listen to what other people, we have to have empathy. Empathy means we understand. It does not mean we always agree, okay? You can be empathetic but not agree with them. You can let them know I care, but it doesn't mean that I agree with what they're doing at that point. We have to have problem-solving skills. Sometimes people say, Jim, I have so many problems in my organization. I'm like, fantastic, you are going to make so much money. And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, because the people who make the most money are the people who solve the most problems. So if you think you've got problems, fantastic. Solve them, work with them, and you're going to end up being a great leader. Leaders are caring. They'll go out of their way to support, to help their people. Leaders have integrity. What they say they'll do, they'll do. I've seen where I've had some good people who their integrity was not strong. And because their integrity was not strong, people realized what they were saying wasn't what they were doing, and their leadership went down and their teams went down. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen over time. You have to have good integrity with what you do. You have to always be learning as a leader, always be growing. And then, of course, as I've mentioned a couple times, you need to lead by example. What are some of the benefits if you do this right? You're going to have more friends than you've ever had in your life. You know what I love? I have 6,000 new friends this weekend. That is an incredible thought of the people you get to meet. But when Lisa and I got married in 2004, we had 33 people at our wedding. It was we took a destination wedding. 31 of those people were in Market America. Now, they weren't all on our, in fact, most of them weren't even on our team. They were other friends I had made along the way. About half were our team, half were other friends we'd made. Doesn't matter because we're one team. That's what I always try to explain to people. The two who were not part of the business ended up joining our business 2 weeks after the wedding. Because can you imagine going to a wedding and hanging out with Elizabeth Weber and Elisa Grant and all these people, and they didn't know who they were or what they did. But so that was a write-off. More family. I consider a lot of my friends in this business as close as I consider a lot of family, to tell you the truth. Better health. for those, I know a lot of you are new to the business because we've just opened up the countries in the last 8 months, the last first. But I got to tell you, when you look at our leaders who have been on products for 20 years or so, they're healthier, they look better, they have more energy. I mean, there is something to be said for leading the right kind of lifestyle, which is what our supplementation helps you with as well. They have a sense of purpose. I think that helps too. They know where they're going, what they're doing. They have options in life, so they're not beaten down. They have the ability to have a hopeful spirit. They have security, meaning, you know, you're more secure owning a business with our company and being in control of it than you are working for someone else. You do understand that in a job. Because in a job, anything can change. Company can change, someone can decide they need to let you go. When you own this business, it is yours. You want a big pay raise? Work harder the next year and you'll get a big pay raise. And it's personal growth because, again, the only way you're going to get to where you want to be is if you continue to grow as a person. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to become better. And that's why people move at different levels, because sometimes people have further to go. But when they get there, we all get there at the end, and we get there and we've built a great business with it. I want to come back to where I started this presentation, and that really comes down to picking up your tickets. Make that commitment. Don't wait till tomorrow. Get it done today. Take care of it. My goal is I hope we sell out both these events I'd like to do it today, but I hope they're sold out by the end of the weekend for sure. And I know some of you will say, well, I'll be mad if it's sold out because then I won't have any tickets. The only person you should be mad at is yourself because you didn't take the time to get up and get them. And this has happened many times, as many of you know. People waited and the tickets were gone. So make that decision to get up and make that commitment and get those tickets. I'm going to tell you all the things I've talked about, it's worth it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great ride. You're going to be successful and you're going to enjoy it as you go along. I've really enjoyed being out here today. I hope some of this was helpful. We've got some other people coming up behind me. Guys, have a great rest of the day. Okay, thank you.